Hi, did you ever stop to wonder about what it means to pause? Let's talk about that. Hi, I'm Paola Ranova, founder of Ranova Enterprises and creator of the Cardinal Method of Life Connection. So, today we're going to talk about the power of pauses, what it means to pause whenever you, for whatever reason, need to make a pause in your life, in your day, in your routine. Pauses have a very powerful spiritual meaning. So, I will talk about a few of the purposes of pauses, and hopefully, they will make sense for you. They will create some sense of peace and centeredness because that's exactly one of the reasons why we need pauses, right? Is to create a sense of peace and centeredness. So, that's one of the reasons and the meanings and purposes of pausing. There's a philosopher called Hannah Arendt, and she says that we find freedom in pauses, that freedom expresses itself in pauses. So that makes a lot of sense. Only when we pause do we feel truly free. It doesn't mean that pauses are stagnation. Pauses can be actually full of vitality, and they allow you to engage and to connect to higher consciousness. So that's another attribute or aspect of a pause. When we talk about taking time to observe and pausing and developing consciousness and higher consciousness from pauses, it really, for me, makes sense to say that it allows us to see the difference between busy and productive, because busy people never stop and they don't seem to be free. Productive people contribute to the world, use their time with vitality to produce good things in the world, and they have free time, meaning they pause to be free. They're not moving all the time because we do need specific types of movement and pausing and states of being to balance our energy. We're not on the move all the time. We can't be not doing anything all the time. It's a balance between these things. And they're actually, I would say, four ways of being in the world that I want to share with you right now. And we do that, we can see that and illustrate it with our breath. This is from yoga. It's one of the wisdoms that we find in yoga. And it's the 4 second breath technique. You're probably familiar with this if you're in the yoga world, but those of you who are not, I teach this to my clients, and we do this a lot when we have group sessions here at Ranova. And what we do is breathe in for 4 seconds, pause for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and pause with empty lungs for 4 seconds. What it means to breathe in is that you're taking life in, prana, life force. And then when you breathe in and take in life, when you pause, that life you have taken in is circling around your body, bringing that life to the body, activating the body, right? Kind of even scanning the body and bringing life to your body. When you breathe out, you whatever is there that doesn't serve you doesn't necessarily have to be just physical toxins, but emotional energy, unwanted thoughts. You just breathe out whatever does not serve you, that was in the body and doesn't serve you, if you do this conscious breathing. So, breathing in, you take life in. Pausing, you allow life to circulate in your body. Breathing out, you let out whatever doesn't serve you. And when you pause, that's the magic of being. You pause when stillness, it's a sensation, it's the connection with the void, the empty space where all creation comes from and where everything starts to manifest. And then you breathe life in again So from the void, you which is the pause with empty lungs, you breathe life in again. It's a cycle of dynamic forces that require two pauses. So two actions, breathing in and breathing out, and two pauses, one with full lungs and one with empty lungs. So right now, when you feel like you're either forced to be pausing with empty lungs, right? You may interpret this as a feeling of scarcity, of just living from the bones, but it really is where the wisdom and the perception of everything that's essential resides. And what happens on a spiritual level is that whatever doesn't serve you has dropped off of your life, and you just connect to what's essential. So you become more truthful. You become more connected to what really matters. You allow old belief systems that don't serve you to leave you. You allow illusions to leave your life. And whenever we have to be in isolation, we do some soul searching. Those of us who choose to go within instead of binging into distractions. Because when we have the opportunities to pause, even if it's a forced pause, if the external world is forcing you to pause, on a spiritual level, your higher self needs that pause. And it's a great opportunity to tune into who you truly are and listen to your higher self, to the higher self's guidance, I would say. Okay, so that's one of the most powerful things that I believe to be useful for moments of pausing. Another thing is, whenever you pause, you welcome change in your life with less resistance. So that's again, when I talked about busy people and the glorification of busy, keeping busy to distract yourself is just some sort of denial, some sort of resistance to go within. So whenever you're pausing, you're allowing yourself to welcome change a lot more. You just become a more flexible person. It doesn't mean that you're going to become a doormat. When I say flexible, some people get really, you know, weird and they say, "Oh, you're telling me that I don't have to stand up for myself and this or that." Flexible doesn't mean that you're going to become a doormat. It just means that you are going to allow change and still remain the same you. So your what is essential and stable and the truth of your being remains. But whatever uh, needs to change, whatever needs to shift for your expansion, the whole purpose of change is consciousness expansion. It's growth, right? It's personal growth, whether you want it or not. In some phases of life, you can't really choose. Life will kind of run you over and force change in your life. But if you pause frequently, you observe whatever doesn't serve you and you allow change a lot more easily because you've become a flexible person. And a flexible person has more chances of expansion. So it has to do with letting go of any kind of rigidity. Even when we believe that we are spiritual or that we do our part and do our work and inner work, it's so true. People who do that are tend to be different and a lot more flexible, but even that can kind of become a habit that becomes autopilot. So one of the most beautiful things that I've ever learned about Eastern spirituality and Buddhism and Hinduism and yoga practices are the meanings of one of the meanings of the Tibetan bowl or the singing bowl. So I have this one, and I have these symbols here, which I usually use in our constellations. So what do you think this means? What do you think ringing a bowl means like this? At the end of meditation. So when you do this, right, it's sound healing, purifying the environment. But after meditation, when you ring a Tibetan bowl or a singing bowl, it gets you out of inertia, because even meditation can become autopilot, can become addictive. So when you ring the singing bowl, you come back to awareness. It's the pause in the pause, right? Because you can really easily, if you're a very spiritual person, get addicted to spirituality. So this means, oof, let's get into another state of consciousness so that you don't get into inertia. Again, busy can be inertia. Contemplation can be inertia. You need a balance between the two. And pauses have the role of creating change so that you keep connecting to different states of consciousness, and thus, therefore, expanding into new experiences and becoming a more expanded person in general, for lack of a better word. So that's very powerful. That's one of the most beautiful and powerful meanings of pauses to me. And we had to create a pause in our space here at Ranova because we're going to be 5 years old soon, in April 15th. And for 5 years, we've held constellations, cardinal method constellations, every single month. It was routine, it was staple, it was our structure. And only twice did we have to cancel a constellation. On September 9th, 2017, September 9th, 2017, we had to cancel because of Hurricane Irma. And on March 14th, 2020, part of the history of Ranova, we had to cancel because of the coronavirus. So we had to create pauses, right? We had to stop our routines for the benefit of all involved because of external forces, and that has many, many meanings. Whenever a person books a constellation, decides to come for his or her own constellation or to represent, which is equally powerful, I have to say this to you. Not just the individual, but the whole soul, what we call the collective family soul, is present here. And the whole family soul, which means the person and all the person's relatives and all the ancestors for at least 4 generations back, but here we work with 7 generations back, that whole system needs to be ready for a constellation to happen. And when someone books a constellation, it means that the family soul is ready. It's not the person booking the constellation, it's the family soul. Not just for people who are having their constellations, but also for the ones we're representing. So clearly, whenever a constellation is canceled, the systems are attempting to create the healing, to receive the healing, but they're not yet ready for that. And we need to respect it. It is very organic. The intention is there, but divine timing, the right, natural, organic time for that soul healing to happen needs to be respected. Okay, so I really paid close attention to that back in 2017 when the hurricane hit. Clearly, those family souls were not ready. And then that group of people kind of dissipated when we had to reorganize, and people who were going to be together on September 9th were not. And then they were, some people came to the next constellation, other people came 2 months later. It was just a very different configuration. Same's happening now on March 14th. Those people who were individually, possibly consciously ready for this work to be done, unconsciously, there was not enough permission. So we wait, we respect the timing of the soul, and we know that in the best time possible, that soul or those souls will be ready for this process. So pausing means respect the soul as well. We talk about soul healing all the time here. That's the reason this space even exists, right? And it's very powerful and important to understand that the timing of the soul is not the timing of the rational mind. It is for sure not the timing of industry. And we just respect whatever spiritual reason there is behind a pause, be that voluntary or forced, so that we can allow ourselves to observe, to heal whatever aspect of the soul needs healing. That's another very powerful piece of this information. Pauses allow you to heal. Why do you think we need to sleep a few hours daily, at least 8 hours a night? Because our bodies need to reboot and to just replenish itself with health, and all the cells need to heal themselves if needed, right? So we need pauses whenever we need healing. When the world needs a pause, it means the world needs healing. When a human being needs to pause, a human being needs to heal. When the whole world is pausing, it means the whole world needs to heal something. A symptom, a physical illness, but also something in the soul. Because we all know in this space that we are, that nothing is just physical, everything has an emotional root cause, right? So there's emotional healing that needs to be done when the world has to pause. And I would love to know what your impressions are. What needs to be healed in the world? Please share what you think is the much needed healing that the world needs. Many things. You can say a lot of things. What do we need to heal? Is it the culture of busy? Is it the culture of selfishness? Is it the culture of greed? When the economy receives such a great impact from this pause, what do we have to rethink? What do we have to reconfigure? What do you think needs soul healing in the world? What aspects of the soul of humanity do you believe needs healing? I would love to hear your opinion. I would love to hear from you. I can't wait to see what you have to say about all this. Share your experience, share your opinion, and I will see you soon. As always, please share this content if you feel it's useful for someone you know, and we'll be connected. Bye-bye.